All right, this video lecture is going to focus on Indian political history from about the year 1000 to around 1500. So the main points that I want you to take from this are that when this time period starts, Buddhism is very, very popular in India. Well, what does it do? Just like we've seen religions do before, it splits. It splits into two very different categories. One of these categories is Theravada Buddhism. And this is the branch of Buddhism that views the school of thought as more of a philosophy. It views Buddhism as a philosophy. Mahayana Buddhism, on the other hand, views Buddhism as more of a religion. Okay? So you're going to get a big split in Buddhism that's important to understand. For now, for this time period, and for our present, Mahayana Buddhism and Theravada Buddhism. Theravada, it's a philosophy. Mahayana, no, it's a religion, and the Buddha is a spiritual figure, and this is more about worship. Theravada, no, it's more of a philosophy. So, either way, whether it's Theravada or Mahayana, the popularity of Buddhism in India is going to go down. It's going to go down greatly. Hinduism is still there, and Hinduism is still very strong in the area, but now you're going to have another religion come in. And what is that? It's the religion that has come into being between now and the last time we studied India, and that's Islam. So Islam is going to enter the subcontinent, is going to enter India and the surrounding modern-day countries at this point. Now, the Arab conquerors in that sort of first initial wave, those rightly guided caliphs, all those guys, they don't get through the Himalayas. They don't conquer India. But generation or two later, some peoples from modern-day Afghanistan, they do get through, and they do invade India. Now, there are way more Hindus in the area than there are Muslims, but we're not just talking about religion here, we're talking about politics. And when this particular invasion occurs, the Muslims, again, not the conquerors we studied last time, but these new guys, they're from Afghanistan, they are politically united, and they invade. Not politically united at all. The Gupta dynasty has gone away, and they've been replaced by something like 70 other separate countries. So India is now divided up into like 70 different units, 70 different little kings, all constantly fighting one another for positions of power, constantly warring with one another. So India is divided, very, 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 very divided. There's a lot of Hindus, but they're divided, and there's these 70 different kingdoms all fighting each other. And then into that, from the north, come these Muslim invaders who take over. They take over the north, just the north at first, and then they go further down, and they take over essentially the whole shebang. Sort of ruling from the north, that's their power base, but they rule most of the area for a while, and that's called the Sultanate of Delhi. The Sultanate of Delhi. We should be having a map projected here. So they take over and rule for a while, and the big important takeaway, past any particular political people, the big thing that I want you to know from this sort of time period, this goes on for hundreds of years, right? The Sultanate of Delhi rules. They're Muslim rulers. Now, they don't forcibly convert all the Hindus. They can't. There's too many. There isn't a sort of serious attempt to do that, but there is an attempt to show who's boss. The Muslim rulers at the time do engage in stuff like burning Hindu temples and replacing them with mosques. There isn't a lot of intermarrying going on. The Muslim rulers are very separate from the vast majority of their population, which is Hindu. And those tensions persist today. I'm not trying to suggest that everyone in the area feels a tension between between Hinduism and Islam. I'm not trying to suggest that this is something that's impossible to overcome, but it is true that the tensions that sort of have their origins here in the fact that there was this invasion and that initially the Muslim leaders sort of held themselves apart from the Hindu population, that you can trace a direct line from those choices, those sort of social choices of those rulers, all the way to today, where again, there's some tension does exist between Muslims and Hindus who live in India and Pakistan and Bangladesh, and it's this whole area. Besides who's on top and who's being ruled, who's the jockeying for position, that's changed throughout history. But the fact that tension exists today can at least in part be blamed on, again, these ancient political decisions that were made that for whatever reason, have the biases that have persisted in some people. And then last but not least, the artistic achievements of the time were, there was, really beautiful temples, and though there was prose writing, there was, prose like novel writing, which was very, early it was one of the earliest novels ever written, is done in this area around this time.